How do you develop Berberis? Is it a great species for bonsai, or is it just painful on your hands? Just before Brexit, I got this Berberis from the UK. What you can see, the lower base of the trunk has died on this side. There's a dead section here, and the top is dead as well. The back is completely alive. There is strong, healthy growth, and in the past I have put a few branches horizontal already. So once this tree is done, it will be about this big, about that wide. I'm going to carve these stumps, I'm going to hollow the main trunk, I'm going to wire out all the branches from this tree, and I'm going to do that right now. When you're working with Berberis, it's quite important to realize that there's sharp thorns on the branches. So let me start with that. I'm going to clip off every single tip, and at the same time I'm going to reduce the long growth, because there's no way I'm going to use half meter, I'm only going to use a few centimeters. So now that that is done, I will start wiring these out. This is still 1.5 mils of aluminium, and for the youngest growth, these ends here I will switch to 1 millimeter. Always wire past the junction in the branches, so you continue the stability of the main branch into the side branches. Here you can see that 2 branches are crossing, and natural tendency would be to remove one of them. In this case I'm going to wire one branch down, and I'm going to move this one sideways so that you get 2 levels of growth, filling out the canopy. As we want to bend the branch down, I'm going to start on top of the junction, looping it around the branch that I want to move down. Be very careful here, because the thorns really are very sharp. And then secure it around the other branch. And this really is iffy. I do not want thorns in my hands. And I know now already I've not been very good at removing all the old thorns. So this one is set. This one gets another 2 loops, 1.5. As said, remove leaves if they're in the way. Wired until past the junction. Now this one can go down. Wire all the way until the wire's done. Also again past the junction of 2 branches. Right, so this one is down. I can wire out the side branches, and this one I can just keep up. Just like that. This tree is fairly congested. Removing part of the foliage in areas that you can't really tell what's happening is perfectly okay. The tree will still backbud, and later this year it will be full again. So don't be concerned removing leaves when you really need to see what's going on for wiring. Berberis is easy to recognize by when you cut the branches, you'll see that the wood on the inside is yellow. Especially with species like this, where the thorns are very nasty. Have I mentioned that? It is good to be effective. Just wire where you can Avoid the thorns, position the branches and worry about aesthetics later. Guy wires or guy wires or tension wires are a good method to move individual branches down that are too thick to wire down. Keep your Berberis in full sun. In summer they love water and fertilizer and they need to be trimmed regularly. It's not uncommon to trim these back 3-4 times a year, and every time you trim them from the side buds a lot of new branches will appear, quickly creating a ramification and a nice dense canopy. To keep a clear view on the trunk line, remove branches that cross the main trunk. And when wiring the branches, wire branches that are on the right side of the trunk to the right and branches on the left side of the trunk to the left. That way you keep a clear view on the main trunk line. When wiring out a branch, keep in mind there is the general direction of the branch, but in the branch itself there's tiny little bends and movements going up and down and left and right. That way the branch will look natural. Try to make these as irregular as possible. Overall the branch moves downward, but here is a downward section and then the branch comes back up and you have tiny little curves. Yeah, keep moving that branch. Before carving, we need to figure out how far this trunk is alive or dead. This is clearly dead. It looks like what I was hoping for is not happening. I don't think there is a living bridge here. This is all dead. That's a shame. So this is the living part. And everything else up here is dead. Along the edge here, everything is still alive. Clearly shown when you scratch the bark a little bit with the yellow showing up. With so much of the trunk dead, it is probably better to not do a lot of carving right now, but first let the tree settle in its new shape. With the tree wired out and trimmed, it's a lot easier to see the history of this tree. And you can tell here, there's a big stump. This used to be a branch or a main trunk, and here also a stump. This is where it has been cut. So this tree probably was 3 meters tall when they lifted it from a garden, and they just bluntly chopped this one and that one, and over time the wood has been left to decay. This part is still okay, but it is starting to dry out and you can see it's starting to crack, so it will over time naturally deteriorate. And here that has already happened. The wood is soft, and with a brush or with a little metal tool you can just pull out the individual wood grains. This section is alive through here, This branch lives through here. This one lives here. All in all, an interesting tree. And I could start carving now, but if I do that, I might actually disturb the underlying living tissue. And I don't want to do that, especially not in the middle of summer. So I'm just going to let it be for now and hope that over time, nature will take care of the trunk. I might peel out a little bit of the dead wood here, but further down, I'm just going to leave it alone to make sure that I don't damage anything that the tree needs to sustain all these branches. The trunk has died away on more spots than I thought, and slowly but surely nature is taking care of the dead wood. And I think I'll just leave the big trunk in place as it is right now, and I won't carve it. I'll give the tree a little bit more chance to establish itself. Apparently it's not done dying back yet. I'll let it grow out, and over time the main stump will either start to rot from the inside out, or I'll use some carving tools to clean it up. But for now this is done, and it will go back into the garden.